Welcome to the Red Hot Mic. I am the host, G. Alpha Palmer. Let's get it right. All right. Welcome to a new edition of the Red Hot Mic. Come on in this house. Come on in this house. Come on in this house. I am your host, G. Alfred Palmer. And here's a toast to you and the most of everything that you ever desired. As you see the topic of the broadcast, you know it's time to ruminate, elevate, and to activate. It's time to do that here at the Red Hot Mic. Come on in here. It's warm by the fire. You know why? Because out there's lions and tigers and bears. And because of that, it's time to come out fighting. Yes, it is. It's time to come in this house, get warm by the fire, and for us to ruminate, elevate, and to activate. Please, if you would, like, subscribe, hit this notification bell if you would, and don't forget to share. Please don't forget to share. Also underneath, you're going to see some information. You'll get our email address, you'll get our website, you'll get our Patreon, you'll get our PayPal, you'll get everything you need to do to be able to support this channel. We're asking you, would you do that? Would you support this channel? I need your support. I need your help. I'm asking for your help. Tonight we're going to talk about a different topic. We're going to talk about a Jazzman's Blues, by a film by Tyler Perry, and we're going to look at it from a different perspective than you've ever seen before. You're going to learn something that may and may not cause you to ruminate, elevate, or to activate. If you will have an ear to hear, it will. But if not, you probably get offended. You probably get upset. You probably get angry. But this is the Red Hot Mic. It's hot in here. Come on in this house. It's the Red Hot Mic with G. Alpha Palmer. And we'll be right back.
In our current global climate, we're facing challenges never before experienced by this generation. Oppositions where no one seems to have clear directions or answers to the risks facing us. Confrontations like racial and gender unrest, political gerrymandering, toxic leadership, economic crisis, global pandemic, health threats, pre-existing medical conditions, isolation, boredom, and loneliness are driving people to desperation. As a result, people are confused, afraid, anxious, and perplexed, and they need answers to some tough questions and even tougher situations. They are looking into different outlets for answers to gain assurance and consolation. Some have drawn closer to the embrace of family, while others look more towards their friendships, education, and even religion. What we need is a fresh voice of truth and clarity, and not a stale religious echo from the past. There's a re-emerging voice on the horizon that isn't afraid to stand alone and give spiritual and mentally sound direction to a world searching for answers. G. Alfred Palmer offers a voice of sound human development and empowerment to those willing to hear. There's a need for new ideas to old principles, a perspective from a timeless origin, but with current vision, a thought leader who understands what it means to stand alone and speak truth when some are hard of hearing. But if you've been waiting to hear a voice that opens the gates of freedom and breaks the shackles of confusion to allow you to step forward into the dawning of a new and exciting future, then it's time to bridge the gap with Dr. G. Alfred Palmer. He is a dynamic speaker, thought leader, and entrepreneur, equipped to elevate, expand, and extend the development empowerment, and leadership of his audiences. He stands ready to speak at your next event. His delivery is guaranteed to refresh, entertain, and transform. G. Alfred Palmer bridges the gap from uncertainty to the purpose, to passion, and leadership. Book him today for your next event, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And it's that time. It's that time for us to do our dedication and our recognition to the transitioned Kevin Samuels. And in our time, we try to just recognize his contribution that he's made to not just men, but to mankind. For those that would have an ear to hear, but not everyone will ever have an ear to hear. Name anyone that everyone heard. But there are some that will recognize a prophetic voice, a voice that changes a generation. Kevin Samuels was just such a voice. Whether you liked it or not, whether you agreed with him or not, that voice was a voice that changed a generation of men. And so in light of that, I want to, on our program, to recognize his contribution. And what we do is we recognize two things that Kevin Samuel did. We recognize first a candle of the evening, and our candle of the evening is called charcoal. And charcoal is one of the it's a cleansing kind of candle that cleans the air around us, and it gives a very clean scent. I enjoy it a lot. You might want to check it out. And let me tell you a little bit more about it. Okay. It says here that charcoal is a cedar wood and sandalwood combo with notes of smoky amber and oud to build a Brody full body fragrance. And this scent is something that you might want to add to your collection because it is a very, very clean smell, very, very approachable smell, and makes the environment very, very welcoming. So you want to check it out. All right. Right. Number two, as a recognition of Mr. Kevin Samuels, is our scent of the evening. And tonight's scent is a new one. It's Michelle Germain, which is called Sexual. Sexual is the name of the scent. And it is a French seduction without being inhibited. Or I should say, live the world where French masculinity entangles with passion. Uninhibited smoke cardamom mixed with French champagne, Mandarin, blends with impassioned European scents. Warm, sophisticated sandalwood, another sandalwood, and masculine amber, another amber, leave an intoxicating accord mixed of Parisian natural oils. The only way to get rid of sexual Paris temptation is to yield to it. Wow. And like I always do, I don't put the scents on until I come on the air because I really want to just experience it and give you a real honest synopsis of what I think about it. I think this is it's definitely a sweet. You can smell the mandarin. The mandarin is definitely there. It does have a sage and a woodsy smell to it, which to me says that it's a really good scent for fall weather. So I think this is a good scent for this time of year. And I do note that it's oily. There's an oily feel to it as opposed to the alcohol base that we feel a lot. And so there's an oily feel to it. So I think it's something that you can just work into your skin. Okay, I like it. I like it. It's a mellow scent, not too verbose, not too loud, but it's noticeable. It is noticeable and it's soft. It's a soft scent that I think that would be welcome in this fall weather. It's not too loud, like I said. So check it out. It's Michelle Germain, and it's called Sexual. All right, all right, all right. So anyway, I appreciate you being with me, and as usual, it's that time for us to present our answer wheel, and we do the answer wheel on every program. And the answer wheel, the aim of the answer wheel is for us to begin to get a feel for what the universe may be saying to us pertaining to something that's going on in our lives. I always have to prepare something always goes wrong, but that's okay. We rebound. I'm learning how to rebound even more and more. I really am. So let's get ready here and let's see if we can get our music together because it's not wanting to act right here this time. Okay. Let's try using something else then. That's all we can do. Okay. So it's time for the answer wheel. And if you've been a part of the show before, you know how we do the answer wheel. And what we do with the answer wheel, what we do with the answer wheel is we give you the opportunity to have a query, a problem, a situation that you've been having, and for you to get an answer from, not from me, but if you can believe it, it can be from the universe. It will be from the universe. What you believe is also true for you. So what we do is we use the answer wheel, and the answer wheel answers a question that you may have, a question that you've been having trouble with. You haven't been able to get an answer, a clear answer. So we want to give the answer wheel a turn, and what we do is once the answer wheel gives us a turn, it will stop on an answer. And if you can believe and receive it, then that will be your answer to your question. Now, what are the answers? The answers are definitely, maybe, yes, ask a friend, try again, or no way. So we give it a whirl, and when it finally stops, nobody knows. I usually try to use a different type of music, but for tonight, for some reason, this is what's working. So it takes its time, and listen. I don't touch it. I don't manipulate it in any way, but it will answer and give you an answer, and that answer that you get, if you can believe it, it can be your answer. And as you see, it's coming down to an end. Tonight's answer is no way. No way. Your answer is no way. I don't know what that means to you, But whatever it means is there's no way that that situation should continue. No way that situation that possibility to be possible. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. All I'm saying is the answer will is saying no way, no way, no way. And when it's no way, that means that we really have to start looking at other options and not looking for that thing that you continue to you have been looking forward to happening. You've been wanting it to happen, but it's saying no way. That's no way. So now we got to open ourselves up to other possibilities. There's other opportunities, other possibilities that are available to you. Now, what are they? What are those possibilities that you have right now that you're facing, that you're experiencing? Not that one that you seem to just want to go with, but you know that for some reason that's not a good go. What's that secondary one? What's that one? Because that first one is no way. So it's time for you to look at another opportunity, another alternative than what you have been looking at. Okay. All right. I appreciate you. I appreciate you a great deal. All right. That's it for that tonight. That's it for that. It went kind of quickly tonight for some reason. It went really quickly. We did our candle of the evening, and we did our um, sin of the evening, and now it's time to talk about our topic. Let me get rid of some things here because what it does, once I get rid of some things, it makes things operate a little bit less strenuous. So let me do this here. Okay. Let's get rid of some stuff here so the old computer doesn't get overtaxed. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Tonight's topic is a topic that I think that it's something that will, I don't know, it's going to definitely cause some folks to have some issues. It will. It's not my intent. Jazzman's Blues, a Tyler Perry film. Now, I know that many people have been talking about this new Tyler Perry movie. It's called a Jazz Man's Blues. Now, I found this movie to be really fascinating, and it's not so much about the content because I really think the content was kind of offensive to me. And I'm not going to be able to do everything tonight, but we're gonna do as much as we can. But I believe there's a lot in this movie in a lot of different areas. But one of the fascinating areas that I found in this movie came in the area of human development. And I've been talking about human development from a human development perspective for some time. If you look at some of my other recordings, it also talks about the identification of gender roles. It also cross the developmental processes and stages of masculine and feminine development. And see, these are the kind of things that dominate my mind. And the reason why it dominates my mind is because of what's going on in our community culture and clan. So these perspectives just dominated my consciousness during this film. Now, one thing I have to say, I have Tyler Perry's depiction of masculine or mature black men continues to be negative, a negative depiction of masculinity on every scale, and it seems like it's a reoccurring theme in all of his movies, and I have some real problems with that. And I think maybe this comes from his own personal experience, that he had a bad experience with his own father, and I think that There may be some unresolved issues as a result of that, and because of that unproductive and negative experience that he had with his fathers, he seemed to carry that theme about mature black men. So for me, Mr. Perry's his artistic contributions continue to paint a negative picture of masculinity, and it's unflattering, right? And it's one of unrelenting and unpositive qualities. And he seems to focus on the dysfunctional qualities like promiscuity. I mean, and I have to say this: spoiler alert. But there's dysfunctional qualities addressed in all of his movies, like promiscuity. There's always violence, selfishness, inconsolability. There's uncontrollableness. There's this self-hatred, and there's drug abuse, all in this one movie, and that's just to name a few. Okay, that's just in this movie, but it seems to be a recurring theme in just about all of his movies. He continues to depict the masculinity of men in general, and black men specifically, as something that is to be averted and eradicated. There's never a role model of positive masculinity in any of his movies. Not realizing there's a difference between masculinity and misogyny, between chivalry and chauvinism. Now, I've yet to see a film that adequately supports or dominates proper masculinity in any of his films. In any of his films. So, not only in his films, but in his TV shows, in his plays, to me, this speaks more to Mr. Perry's his lack of masculine development. I mean, most of us have areas that we're lacking in because of things that have occurred. Now, his lack of masculine development is not his fault. And that's with any of us. The lackings that we have is not our fault. It's because we haven't been properly developed. All that's to say that the movie still provides an ample amount of information to help us to identify specific stages of development. And even some of these characteristics that I want to cover tonight of the developmental stages of masculinity are important for us to understand and to gain a better grasp of, because it'll help us to have a perspective of how we can move on as individuals and as men, because this is the masculinity man cave. Now I want to talk about the importance of the film real quickly. The importance of the film is for us to be able to identify where we can, or I should say where we are right now in our developmental processes. And it gives us an opportunity to begin to look for assistance to help and to aid in addressing the problems that we may have individually from a developmental perspective. Now that's important. All of us have things that we need to be able to work. We have to work on. And these things will enable us to effectively and properly matriculate to the next phase of our development that's needed. This is the problem that we're having, a failure to matriculate in our development. The show shows us the complexity of race, and that's some of the complex, the interest that we all have around race. It's something that we all continually toil with. So that's in the film, and that's something that we have to deal with. But I think it has to go beyond that. It's so much racial movies. We have to move beyond that. But anyway, now let's talk about some of the characters. Some of the characters I want address because these are the characters that you're going to hear me talking about. Horace John, which is Bayou, is the main character. Um, Leanne, I think it's Leanne Jean Harper. They call her Bucket. Willie Earl, which is, I believe, Bayou's half brother or whole brother. It seems that he's half brother if you look at it. Buster is Willie Earl's father and Bayou's, I believe, half stepfather. Hattie Mae, which is the boy's mother, both boys' mother, and seems to be more of a protector of Bayou. And it's Sissy. Sissy seems to be Bayou's friend and his protector, and seemed to try over and over to keep him from getting in trouble. Ethel Lee, which is Leanne's mother, and then there's Leanne's husband. I don't remember his name. Leanne's husband's brother, which is Sheriff Jackson, and then there's Ira, which is the Jewish manager of Willie James and for Ira. I mean, for the main character, Bayou. Okay, and then there's Grandpa Red, which is Leanne's grandfather, and then there's Jonathan Dupree, which is Bayou's son. Bayou's son, and it's interesting how he plays a role in this film. Now, when we start talking about different aspects of masculinity, the first thing we want to talk about is the toxic masculinity. We hear about this all the time, but what I want you to understand is toxic masculinity is a term that is misused, but I'm going to use it in context of this movie. Now, if we're going to look at some of the people that had that were toxic in their masculinity, there's Willie Earl's father, definitely, who definitely was abusive. There's Willie Earl, who was jealous of Bayou, and then there is the Grandpa Red, which was a sexual abuser of Leanne, and then there's Sheriff Jackson, who was a man who manipulated and took advantage of his office, and then there's Leanne's husband, who is Sheriff James' brother, who undercover was had the potential of being a very violent man within his marriage. Now, there's a dependent masculinity in the movie as well, and you'll find Willie Earl dependent on Ira, dependent on his father, and then you'll find Bayou, who was very much dependent on his mother, and his dependency on his mother and on Leanne, which caused problems in his life. We'll get to it. Then there is what I call the beta male, which is definitely Bayou, he's beta in the sense that he's again dependent on his mother, and he's also dependent on Leanne. He's also dependent on Sitsi as well. So his dependency on other people, and namely women, was very, very, very apparent throughout the movie. And then the other person that was dependent was Willie Earl, as we talked about before. And one of his dependents was on substances, which is what played a big role in the downfall in his life. Now, I'm going to be talking in the future about substance abuse, especially among men, and what especially opioids are doing. It's going to be a broadcast coming up very, very shortly about that. Now, another masculinity stage or that we saw was that of the super white man syndrome, which was Ira, who was a Jew that lost his family, and as a result, he wanted to help people, and so as a result, he helped. As he says, he helped a lot of people, but he was helping. He was helping Willie Earl become Willie Earl was a trumpeter, and he wanted to be a jazzman, a musician at a well-known club, and as a result of that, I believe it was in Chicago, but both him, Ira, and Willie Earl had a substance abuse problem. The other super white man, but even Ira in the movie was looked at as this super savior, painted as a savior for Willie Earl and for and for Bayou, to a degree. But if you see the movie, you'll see what I mean. The club owner was also a but his club was uh, predominantly black performers, but no blacks were able to see the performance. It was all for white people, but it was the super white man syndrome that allowed black people that have talent to come and entertain white people. So the other one was super white man syndrome goes to Leon's husband, and to his brother, the sheriff. Every white man in this movie seemed to have a savior mentality, a super white man kind of syndrome with him, where he was a savior of someone, but a terror to others. So that was something that I noted quite frequently in the movie. The other thing is that there was this exploitative white man, if you would. And in this, we saw the sheriff, the club owner, Ira, and Leanne's husband, and it's all combined to show that that's what was going on in this time. It was in the 1930s, I believe, that it was set in, and at this time, it was racism and was very very rampant, and the exploitation of black people was very very prominent. Now, when we start talking about, I want to talk about real briefly the stages of development. If you look at some of my other films or other broadcasts, you see that I talk about the stages of masculinity development. Now, there's there's three stages, but there are 8 phases of it. But I talk about the 8 phases a lot. I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about the 3 stages there, and the 3 stages that every masculine or masculinity male goes through is boyhood, malehood, and manhood. I'll say it again: boyhood, malehood, and manhood. We come into this planet again, remembering this is the masculinity man cave. So we're talking to the masculine energy. We're talking to the masculine. We're talking to the boys. We're talking to the males and the men, because you came in here into this planet. When you were born not as a male. No, you were born as a boy. You were born as a boy. You came as a result of masculine energy that transfixed or transposed itself to enter into this sphere, into masculinity. ITY puts on the degree or the order or the science of masculine. If you look at the word ITY, it says it's a degree or it's the order. And anytime you find order or you find degree, you find a little pecking order or developmental order. Okay. And so when we start talking about the idea that masculinity came and it had an order, and the order is boy, male, man. Boy, male, man. Now in that first phase, when you look at this movie, what you first have to identify and understand is that all the males came in as boys, bar none. When you're born of masculine energy, when you are born with and see what masculine energy does, it possesses certain qualities. And those qualities are not gender specific, which is why masculine has to come into and make that change from masculine to masculinity. And when it comes to masculinity, it puts on a gender. It puts on a design. It puts on a body. And that body is conducive with masculine. Masculine either pierces, penetrates, initiates, right? Or it inserts or injects. That's what masculine does. And that when it comes in and it comes into this form of masculinity in this earth form, It puts on a body that's designed to be able to show forth the ability to do those 5 things. That's why a boy has a penis. His body he has all the design that enables him to insert, inject, initiate, penetrate, and to pierce. He's able to do that. And if he's not designed to do that innately, that is not a boy. That is not a boy. See, what we've got to understand is that even in this movie, all of them were born, every male was born as a boy, even though we call it male. He came into this earth as a boy. Now there's certain characteristics that we understand about boys that grow and we talk about it when we start talking about those eight qualities. I'm not going to get into the 8 qualities, it'll take too long. So, but we get into those 8 qualities, and if the boy is able to develop in those 8 qualities, he's able to matriculate to the next phase of his development, which is malehood. Okay? Now, malehood has a lot to do with some of the qualities. Now, when we look at malehood is the next step beyond, but inclusive of boyhood. There's some qualities of boyhood, but those qualities are put in its rightful place as he matriculates and understands how those qualities fit into his malehood. And as he matriculates to malehood, those 8 qualities, there's 8 still more developmental qualities or phases that he has to go through. And if he satisfactorily develops in those areas, he will matriculate to manhood. But this is the problem in this movie. None of the men in this movie, none of the males in this movie ever matriculate to manhood. There are no men in this movie. I'll say it again. There are no men in this movie. They want us to think that Bayou is a man, but he's not. Bayou is a male. Not only is he a male, but he's a beta male. And a beta male is one that is dependent, as we just talked about. He's dependent on his mother. He's dependent on Leanne. He's dependent on Seti or Setsi. He's dependent on women all around him. And he's never been able to connect with any masculinity in his life. There's nothing in the movie that will show that he ever connected with masculinity. And in my opinion, that's his downfall, because there will be a downfall to Bayou. Now, he wasn't the only one that was a male. He was not the only one. His brother, Willie Earl was an alpha male. He was an alpha male. He thought he was all that in a bag of chips, but in reality, he was dependent on Ira, who was the Jewish white man that was to help him become a jazz musician in Chicago. Ira was also the one that used drugs with him. And it's Willie Earl's dependency on others and drugs that was his downfall. Men don't do that. That is male qualities. So when we look at Bayou, when we look at Willie Earl, we look at males. Buster was the father, I believe, because of something I heard in the movie. I think that he was the father of Willie Earl, but the stepfather of Bayou. And if you look at the two boys, you can see my point. But and some lines in the movie that led me to believe that they had two different fathers. But the bottom line is, Buster was abusive. Buster was abusive to Bayou and to the mother. And I think the reason for that was because she had a child by another man. That's my take. I believe that was the reason why he hated Bayou, and he continually um, lorded over his wife. Now, to me, to me, Buster Buster also had a drinking problem. He also had a drinking problem. He played. He played. I believe he was a jazzman to himself and wanted to go and eventually left the family, deserted the family to go to Chicago to become a musician, but and never returned. But was, as you find out in the movie, he was killed. But anyway, the bottom line is Buster was abusive. He was abusive, and he too was a male. He too was a male. He was dependent, but his dependency seemed to be in his anger. He was just angry about not making it. He did not believe in himself. He did not believe in anything that he could do. He just was totally a a male that did, and many males are like this. They have no idea who they are, what they're supposed to be, or what they're supposed to do. Why? Because you don't know purpose. You don't know purpose. And if you don't know purpose, you'll be like Buster. Because Buster was angry because Buster could not figure out what he was here for. He knew he loved music. He knew he loved music. He taught his boys, at least one, how to play the trumpet, but Bayou couldn't learn how to play. And he was abusive to Bayou and kept abusing him, verbal abuse. I didn't see much physical abuse, but there was definitely an insurmountable amount of verbal abuse from his father or stepfather. And I'll say this again. I believe he was a stepfather, and a stepfather will never love you. I don't care what you say. A stepfather will not love his the children of another man like he will love his own. I don't care what you say. Oh, he loved my kids like they his own. No, he's not going to do that. No man is going to do that. A stepfather is just that, a stepfather. And if he's a real father, he will love his children. And statistics show us right now that there are more men that are being present fathers, especially in the black community, than they want us to believe. They want us to think that black men are not adequate fathers. They are adequate fathers, but what's stopping many from being the fathers that they want to be is the mothers. For whatever reason. There's a myriad of reasons of why this happened, but there's statistical data to support what I'm just saying to you. Okay? It's support, but so a stepfather is just that. Buster was a stepfather who was abusive to his stepson. What I believe was his stepson. Okay? Now, when we look at the other, there's another male in the movie. He doesn't get a lot of depiction, but it's Grandpa Red. And it's amazing that Grandpa Red can be related to the red pill that we see a lot going on in our society now. The red pill, blue pill. Anyway, but Grandpa Red was abusive. He was sexually abusing and molesting Leanne. He had been doing it since Leanne's mother had left her there in a bucket, which is why they call a bucket. She left Leanne at her father's and went to the city looking for fame and fortune. And when she couldn't find it, when she eventually came back and got Leanne, and Leanne was going to be the tool for her to be able to take care of not only Leanne, but to take care of her mother. That was Mom's plan. And that was Ethel Lee is Leanne's mother's name. And so Ethel Lee was abusive. And it's important to note that Leanne and Ethel Lee they could pass for white. And I should have said that at the very beginning, but if you watch the movie, you'll see it. They could pass for white. And so Ethel Lee, her goal was for her daughter to nab a white man. She wanted to, but she was too old. and this is what happens. This is what happens once you hit the wall, is that you're no longer able to become, your sexual marketplace value decreases, ladies. And as a result of that, Ethel Lee's sexual marketplace value decreased to the point that she had to depend on her young daughter and to depend on her sexual marketplace value in order for it to work for in the behalf of both the daughter and for her. But anyway, the movie shows that there are no men in this movie. The closest thing to a man is Ira. Ira had substance abuse problems, but Ira seemed to take care of everyone. He seemed to be more of a man than anyone in the movie. Anyone. Well, maybe not. Maybe Bayou's mother had a lot of masculine in her too, as well, especially after Buster left. She had her own speakeasy. They did a lot of singing and drinking, and all that stuff is masculine. All those things, those kind of qualities are masculine qualities. But it was the way that they were able to make a living in those days, and so that's the way it was. Now, Bayou and Leanne, in the opening scene of the movie, well, not the opening scene, but in the earlier scene in the movie, they meet under a tree, and they start meeting under this tree and meeting under this. They call it a hue tree, and the hue tree is where they would meet and talk and spend. They would meet in the middle of the night and be together all toward the morning. And because Grandpa Red would get drunk in the evening and he would pass out, which is another malehood quality. Men don't do that. But anyway, he would go to sleep and sleep right through, and then Willie Earl and Bayou slept in the same room, but Willie Earl would sleep through probably because he was high and whatever. But so he would be able to go out all night. But Mom comes later in the movie that his mother knew that he was sneaking out, but she wasn't sure that who it was with, but she knew that he was sneaking out. But they would meet under the hue tree, which shows how their relationship developed. Their relationship developed with her teaching him how to read. She helped him. Which is what women are supposed to do. But women don't like being helpers. They want to be a boss chick. They don't like the idea of being a helper. Not in the modern woman. She doesn't. So here we are, and she is helping him learn how to read because he didn't know how to read. And now the strange thing is at that same place where the climax of the movie will take place. At that same hue tree, if you get my drift. Okay, so there's some things that I wanted to bring out, some notes I wanted to bring out. And some of them I may have already spoken about. But here's one thing I wanted to bring out is that both Bayou and Leanne were caught in feelings. One of the characteristics of malehood is that the battle between that which is logical and feelings, and that's where we have to make where manhood comes in, where he's able to understand that as a man, logic is to his number one goal is to be logical, and it's not to be absent of feeling, but it's not to be superseded by feelings. Bayou was superseded by feelings. Bayou and Leanne had their first kiss under the yew tree. And under the yew tree, it was there that Bayou continually chased the feeling that he had when he kissed her. So many males are chasing feelings and not understanding what the role that feelings are to play in a masculine life. You're not supposed to be ruled by your feelings. That's why you have her. She's ruled by feelings if she is a woman. But if what we've got to understand is about Leanne, she too was ruled by her feelings, but her feelings were inappropriate. Her feelings were about what she felt. You look at around that tree, it was always about her, what she wanted. And if you didn't do what she wanted to do, she wouldn't speak to you again. You had to do it her way. And she didn't care if it puts you in danger. And if you watch the movie, you'll see she time and time again puts Bayou in danger. But because Bayou's chasing a feeling, he's chasing a feeling. He's chasing that first hit when he kissed her. He's chasing that, and he chased it the whole movie, and it cost him his life. It cost him his life. Now, they were living in a certain, I can't remember where they were living in the beginning of the movie, but eventually they start moving to Hopewell County. And Hopewell County is, to me, a metaphor for change. So they move from one area of poverty and abuse and racism, and they move to a bigger city, but it wasn't a big city like Atlanta. That's what they wanted to line in the movie. But it was a bigger place with more opportunities for people of color. Now, this is where Bayou's mother went to start her speakeasy. And it was quite successful for a while. It was quite successful. And what my question is, Bayou could have always have brought his mother from Hopewell County to where he was highly successful, because Bayou became a sensational singer in the nightclubs in Chicago. And who taught Bayou to sing? His mother. Everything was taught. Bayou got everything from his mama. He got nothing from his daddy. I mean, whatever. But the bottom line is, it seemed to me that if he was man enough, he would have brought his mother to Chicago. If mom was willing to leave wherever they were from to come to Hopewell County, why would she not come from Hopewell County to come to Chicago and see the success of her son that she had some stake in, because she taught him how to sing? Why did that not happen? No, it didn't. Because Bayou was hooked on feelings. He was hooked on women. He did what women wanted him to do, whether he thought what he, irregardless of what he thought would be the best way of operating. He said that his mom would not come to Chicago, so he had to go back to Hopewell County, where he had barely escaped with his life. But he goes and he goes back to the place where they wanted to kill him. And he goes back there. What man does that? No man does that. Males do that. Males operate by feelings. Men operate by logic. A man will function logically, said it's not logical for me to go back to a place where they tried to kill me. I don't care who's there. Whoever's there can come to where I am. And not see, and so Bayou, being a male, never matriculating to manhood, found himself in a position that cost him his life because of his lack of masculinity. Lack of masculinity. Entertaining people, but still he was a beta male. Now, I wanted to set the stage there, because I want to go further in the movie, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the phases, but I'm not going to do it tonight. But I want to say this, that Bayou, I mean, the movie will. I should say this. The movie would try to tell us that Bayou was the type of male that we all males should shoot for, and I say that that's erroneous. Bayou is dangerous. Bayou is dangerous to our community, culture, and clan. He's as dangerous as Willie Earl and as Buster and as Grandpa Red. He's as equally as dangerous as the rest of them because they're all males and fail to understand what manhood is all about. There are no men in this movie. There are no men in this movie. There are boys and there are males, alpha males, beta males, omega males, delta males, but there are no men in this movie, which is a recurring theme in Tyler Perry movies, TV shows, and plays. You can't lead someone somewhere that you haven't gone yourself. You can't lead someone somewhere where you haven't been yourself. You need to be tutelaged, taught, trained, discipled, disciplined. And you only can do that from another masculine man, not masculine male, but a masculine man. And see what has happened in our community, culture, and clan. They have made masculinity, manhood, to and incorporated it into a a disorder, behavior disorder. And it says that they liken masculinity to narcissism. If you're masculine, you're narcissistic. It is the most bizarre thing in the world. And many men are falling under the guise of it. They're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. They're failing to stand up and say, masculinity, manhood, and narcissism are nowhere near the same things. They are not the same things. And it's not that way because you say it. I know you can't tell me what masculinity is because you're not masculine. You were formed from feminine energy. Feminine energy cannot be masculine, nor can masculine energy be feminine. That's why you need the other. One, it's binary. You need one another because what you lack, the other has. And if there's someone that is trying to be something that they aren't, they have adopted, they have acculturated the appropriated is the word I'm looking for. Appropriated the culture that they are imitating, just like anyone else that appropriates other cultural traits. You are what the Creator sent you here to be, whether you like that or not. Whether you like that or not. The bottom line is you are what the Creator has sent you to be. And your suit, that suit that you were born in, dictates the energy that you were sent under, through, and by. Well, we're going to pick up from here and we're going to talk a little bit more about this movie by Tyler Perry, the Jazzman's Blues. And so many people really, really have some great things to say about this movie. I think that this movie is useful. It's useful, but I did not enjoy the movie. I did not enjoy the movie, but I learned from the movie. I've learned from the movie. Some people say that it's a great movie. I disagree, but you're welcome to your opinion, as I am mine. Well, I hope my rant didn't confuse you too much, and I hope that you will join me again the next time we come together. But again, once again, would you please subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell? And I'm going to put you. I'm going to put down. I'm going to add. I'm going to add our information right there under the screen right there. I just added it, so you can see how to get in touch with us through our Gmail account and through our website and everything that you. It's right there, so you can go back, you can freeze it, you can do whatever you want, and get the information from about our channel and everything. So I am really hopeful that you got something out of it. I hope that you can ruminate and chew on it, think about it, and then I hope that you can elevate, and then I hope that you can take and out and activate some of what we talked about. We're going to come back and we're going to finish up um, some of this on our next session. So until the next time we come together, G Alpha Palmer, peace.